TB testing of the kind we've just heard may be disruptive, but many farmers believe that the Welsh Government isn't doing enough to achieve a TB-free Wales. Stephen James is Deputy President of NFU Cymru.
Well, obviously we would have preferred a Cull. The Welsh Assembly have decided to go down a vaccination route, and we don't feel that's going to benefit us greatly. And the problem we have now is that the new restrictions imposed in the last 18 months or so are stifling farmers, really. You know, if we have a TB breakdown, we're not allowed to buy in replacement stock for at least 60 days and perhaps longer than that. And for dairy farms that may be under volume constraints, in other words, if they have to produce more this year than last year, they will lose a penny on top of the volume they've lost because of the cows that have gone. So yes, pressures are most certainly on farming in West Wales, and not just dairying but beef as well, you know, for buying beef store cattle back in.
Now, 3 months into the vaccination programme, and around 750 badgers have now been vaccinated against TB in Wales. In a moment, we'll be hearing from the Welsh Chief Vet. The government says the TB eradication programme, which includes increased cattle testing, is progressing well. The 5-year vaccination programme is centred around TB hotspots, primarily North Pembrokeshire. Dr Christiane Glossop is the Chief Veterinary Officer for Wales, and she says she's pleased with progress so far.
This week, we have completed the 5th round of our vaccination programme, and the total number of badgers vaccinated is 747. So we're just over the halfway mark in terms of the amount of land that we need to cover, and we're on the home straight, effectively, in terms of finishing the programme on target towards the end of October.
Do you know what proportion of the badger population in Wales that is?
Well, this is one small area of Wales, of course, but we estimate that in our intensive action area we have somewhere between 1,600 and 2,300 badgers, but we're developing our understanding of the exact population as we work our way through the area.
Now, have you been able to draw any conclusions so far about whether it's reducing TB in the badgers that you vaccinated?
Well, certainly not. You know, we haven't even finished year 1 of a 5-year vaccination programme, and we're not expecting to see any benefit in the short term or even in the first sort of 2 or 3 years. So, no, we can't comment on that at the moment.
We've heard from NFU Cymru that they don't think that this programme is the right way to tackle TB. How confident are you that it is the right way?
All the measures we have in place on the cattle side, on the non-bovine domestic species side, that's camelids, goats, deer, etc., and on the wildlife side, all need to be targeted towards reducing the risk of disease spread and driving down the incidence of infection. So on its own, dealing with badgers in one part of Wales will not eradicate TB. It is one piece of a much bigger and more complicated programme.
Is it a worthwhile use of public money when it is going to be such a long time before you see any results, and there is no knowledge that it's actually going to work?
I think we need to recognise that this programme has to tackle all sources of infection. Our minister in Wales has decided that he would like to explore the vaccination option. So that's what we're doing. So it is early days, it is an expensive programme, and we are not certain of the outcome.
But Welsh farmers might say that that's a very expensive experiment where their cattle are still getting TB, and that when trials are about to go ahead in England to cull badgers, that's what they'd really like to see. Could you ever see that happening in Wales?
Everyone has different views of what the best approach is, and in Wales right now we're following the vaccination route whilst making sure that we learn as much as we can about our approach, and also of course the approach in England.
Chief Veterinary Officer for Wales, Dr Christiane Glossop. That's it from us for today. Do join me tomorrow at 6:30 when I'll be rolling up my sleeves and making jam. I'm Kaz Graham, and today's producer was Claire Freeman.